Welcome back, Wildcat Nation, to episode 6 of season 7. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf, and today we are spotlighting the women's track team. We'll be joined by sophomore Dylainey Floyd and junior Allie Hawk.
Hawk was the 600-meter conference champion and finished second in both the 60-meter and 60-meter hurdles, both events which she holds the school record for. Floyd was the conference champion in the 400. Hawk and Floyd ran together on the 4x4 team that holds the school record, and Hawk holds 2 more records in the 100-meter and 400-meter hurdles.
Before we get started, here's your Crossroads League Week in Review.
I'm Isaac Wolf with your Crossroads League Week in Review. We are down to the final week of conference play. Both men's and women's teams will have 2 games this week to decide the final standings for the conference tournament. Let's look at where each team is at headed into the home stretch. On the men's side of things, Grace and Bethel are tied at 13-3 each in conference for the top spot in the Crossroads League. Huntington and St. Francis are tied for 3rd at 10-6 in conference. Spring Arbor is 5th at 9-7 in conference. Indiana Wesleyan right behind them at 8-8. Taylor 7-9 for 7th in the conference. Mount Vernon, Nazarene, and Marion are tied for 8th in the conference at 5-11. And Goshen is last at 0-16. Some important things to note this week as Grace and Bethel vie for the top spot in the conference. Grace plays against St. Francis at home on Wednesday, and they play at Mount Vernon on Saturday. Bethel plays at Spring Arbor on Wednesday and home against Taylor on Saturday. If they end up with the same record since they split their regular season meetings, the tiebreaker goes to the team's RPI rating, in which Bethel has the advantage. Huntington, after dropping Saturday's game against Spring Arbor, is in a tie with St. Francis for the 3rd seed at 10-6. Huntington plays at Taylor and against Goshen this week, while St. Francis will head on the road to Grace and play at home against Spring Arbor. Spring Arbor has the chance to shake some things up this week with their games against Bethel and St. Francis, and with that comes the opportunity to host a first-round game if they win both. The other battle is for the final spot in the conference tournament between Mount Vernon and Marion. The two play each other at Marion on Wednesday at 7 p.m. If the two teams end up with the same record, Mount Vernon will be in due to the RPI ranking. The Cougars took the first of the 2 matchups and have the higher RPI, so even if Marion wins, it wouldn't matter with the same record. There is the chance that if Marion goes 2-0 on the week and Mount Vernon loses one or both games, or even if Marion goes 1-1 and Mount Vernon goes 0-2, then Marion could be in. Nonetheless, a crucial game on Wednesday. On the women's side of things, Indiana Wesleyan is the top of the conference standings at 15-1 in conference, 25-1 overall. St. Francis and Marion are tied for 2nd at 13-3 each. Spring Arbor 4th at 10-6. Huntington is 5th at 8-8. Mount Vernon, Nazarene, and Bethel are tied for 6th at 6-10. Goshen is 5-11, which is good enough for 8th in conference, while Grace is 3-13 for 9th, and Taylor is in last at 1-15. Some important things to note this week: if Indiana Wesleyan wins against Goshen on Wednesday, they will clinch the conference title. St. Francis just beat Marion for the 2nd time this season on Saturday, so they have the head-to-head advantage if they end up with the same record. St. Francis' schedule includes a game at Grace and home against Spring Arbor this week, while Marion will go on the road to IWU on Saturday for a big game, but before that they play at home against Mount Vernon. The rest of the field is set besides some matchup seating at the bottom of the bracket between Mount Vernon, Bethel, and Goshen, but pay attention to the top 3 spots as there could be some movement. In track and field, Marion swept the men's and women's indoor championships. It's the night's 6th straight championship for the men and 4th straight for the women. Indiana Wesleyan finished 2nd in each, while 3rd place belonged to Spring Arbor for the men and Huntington for the women. In baseball, number 19 Taylor went 4-2 on the week, splitting a doubleheader with Ottawa University of Arizona, then going 3-1 in a series against St. Thomas. As for this week's Crossroads League Awards, the Women's Basketball Offensive Player of the Week is Callie Gregory of St. Francis. Gregory led number 9 St. Francis past Mount Vernon and number 12 Marion with 24.5 points and 5 assists per game. The freshman shot 54% from the floor, including 50% from deep in each game. Against Mount Vernon, Gregory had 34 points and 8 assists. The Women's Basketball Defensive Player of the Week is Cyan Muhammad of Goshen. Muhammad had double-doubles in Goshen's games with Spring Arbor and Taylor, averaging 17.5 points per game to go with 15 rebounds and 2.5 block shots per outing. In Goshen's win over Taylor, the senior center had 14 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 blocks. The Men's Basketball Offensive Player of the Week is Gabe Newhoff of Spring Arbor. Newhoff carried Spring Arbor past Goshen and number 14 Huntington by averaging 26 points per game on 63% shooting. The junior forward also added 5.5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks per victory. The Men's Basketball Defensive Player of the Week is Ian Scott of Grace. Scott kept on filling the box scores, this time posting 12.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 2.5 steals per game against number 10 Bethel and number 14 Huntington. In Grace's win over Bethel, Scott had 10 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. The women's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Janie Halterman of Taylor. Halterman was named the Crossroads League Indoor Championships Women's Runner of the Meet after winning the 3,000 and 5,000 meter races in record-setting fashion. In addition to posting the best times in the NAIA this season in each, Halterman set new Taylor and league meet records. The women's indoor track and field athlete of the week is Nina Marinkovic of Marion. Marinkovic competed and scored in 4 field events for Marion during its team title at the Crossroads League Indoor Championships. On her way to scoring the most points on the women's side, Marinkovic won the pentathlon and 60-meter hurdles while taking 5th in the high jump and long jump. The men's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Eric Materna of Marion. Materna was the top scorer on the men's side of the Crossroads League Indoor Championships, leading Marion to the team title with wins in the 200, 400, and 600 meters. Materna hit the A standard in the 400 and B in the 600. The men's indoor track and field athlete of the week is Christian Rios of Marion. Rios helped Marion to a dominant team title at the Crossroads League Championships by winning his individual events in the weight throw and shot put. The senior hit NAIA A standard in each event and posted his best ever mark in the shot put at 17.09 meters. The baseball player of the week is Eli Riley of St. Francis. Riley banged 3 homers for St. Francis in a 3-game series at number 11 Southeastern. The senior catcher hit 500 over 12 at-bats, mixing in 4 extra base hits and slugging .1333 in the series. The baseball pitcher of the week is Gable Pentecost of Taylor. Pentecost led number 19 Taylor to a 10-4 win over St. Thomas in Florida, striking out 9 batters and allowing just 1 unearned run on 3 hits and 1 walk over 5 dominant innings of work. Pentecost earned the team win as the Trojans took 3 games in the 4-game set. That's all for this week with your Crossroads League Week in Review. I'm Isaac Wolf.
So you both just competed at indoor track conference and you both won your event. So how was that environment in the competition?
So that was only the second time I ran that race, the 600 before. So I was really nervous for it, but a lot of people just came around me and were super supportive. So that just made it more fun. And also, since it's a newer event, I prayed a lot more for it, which I felt like that was very comforting too. So overall, it was a really good experience.
So 400 is my normal event, and it went really well. It was really fun to be celebrated by my teammates at the end, even though I was dying kind of, but it was so fun, not what I was expecting at all. So it was really exciting to go out and try my best, and it worked, so it was good.
So let's go back to the beginning of your guys' journeys and how you got into track, what kinds of events you did in high school, and if that differs from what you do now, and how that all kind of worked out.
So in high school, I was a lot more of a sprinter. I also didn't hurdle until probably my junior year. So being in college, my events have changed a lot because I came in, I was supposed to be a sprinter and do some hurdling, but now it's more mid-distance with sprints and hurdling. But I think it's been a good change and everything's been going well with that. So
in high school, I was more of a sprinter. I did like 100, 200, 4x1. And then my junior year, my dad worked with my coach, and so he was like calling me out that I wasn't trying hard enough. And then they made me do the 400 one time, and then they just it just stuck with me. And so now I kind of do a little bit of everything or wherever coach kind of needs me to be. So it was a start to a good journey, but it was interesting how it started.
Did you guys do any other sports growing up, or how did track separate itself from anything else you did?
I did volleyball year-round because I did school and travel, and that was like my main sport. Track was just kind of like something I did for fun, and I actually wanted to go to college for volleyball, but somewhere along the way, like senior year, my mindset kind of changed a little bit, and I was like, I actually like track a lot more than I like volleyball. It's just it's a really good atmosphere because it's a team sport, but it's also an individual sport, and everyone's just so uplifting. So that was a big part of why I wanted to do track in college.
I started out doing cross country in middle school, and then I didn't like it at all. And so my dad was like, you have to be in a sport. What sport are you going to choose? And I chose lacrosse out of all the sports, which is very different from cross country. And I loved it. I thought it was going to be the place I was going to be for the rest of my life. And then high school, a girl smacked me in my back and I had to go to the hospital. And then I realized that it's not the sport for me. And so I was doing double sports, which basically were both all out running all the time. And I was just feeling like drained and not really loving the sports that I was doing. And so junior year kind of hit me of like, what am I going to do in college? And then track kind of took a lead on that because lacrosse, I just kept getting hurt. So I was like, I don't like the sport. So, yeah.
Was track something that brought you to IWU, or were you guys planning on coming here? Like, how does the recruiting process work for track?
Well, I knew of IWU because my parents went here and my aunt and uncle also went here. And so also my aunt is a professor here. I just grew up coming here when I like would visit them. So it definitely was on my list, and I wanted a Christian school, so that was my first priority. And then academic wise, I was looking for a good college that would meet what I wanted to do for a major. And then I also wanted the good track team and just seeing what the team atmosphere was like. And so those three were my top on my list of what I wanted in a school.
I wasn't on my top list at all, actually. And I wanted to go to a private school, but I was looking more towards staying home. So I was going to go to St. Francis initially, or Ball State kind of area, even though it was like a public, but it was a smaller school. And my mom kind of like wanted me to look more for like a track opportunity. And so I started reaching out to coaches, and I ended up in like the wrong environment that I didn't want to be in first. So I went to like a bunch of public schools, like huge D1 colleges, and I was just like, these are not the people that I want to be surrounded by, or like pushing myself this hard when I want to be in school too. And so then coach texted me, and he was like, you should come for a visit. And then I met her.
We were
And
hosting.
yes. And so then it kind of all flipped, and everything kind of dropped, and I was just like, this is where I need to be. And then after meeting everyone, and I actually went to outdoor nationals, but like as a senior in high school, but I went and watched everyone run. And then it was like, okay, I'm coming here. So it's kind of like, it just kind of flew into place. And like seeing the people really brought me into IWU.
With so many people and so many events and people doing multiple events, what do practices look like on a weekly basis?
So it depends on the semester. Fall semester, since that's our off season, we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday as like we're all there doing our workouts. And this is where like track and cross country are very separate. So we don't really see cross country as much. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do our workouts and we lift. And then Tuesday, Thursday are like our easy runs. And those are supposed to be recovery. And it's a little bit different for sprinters and more mid-distance, like 800 group. And then in season, spring semester, we do Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturdays. If we don't have a meet, we'll do our workouts those days and our lifts. And then Monday, Wednesday are like recovery days, and then pre-meet the day before a meet.
I don't know if you had anything to add, but I guess you gave it all. So with both of you guys being runners who impact the team in a big way, how have you guys stepped into like a leadership role or position? Or do you guys see yourself in that position?
Now that I'm a junior, I would say I feel like I have been really trying to encourage people more. I mean, as freshman and sophomore I did too, but just wanting to like make connections with people on the team and just really know them more as a person than like as a runner has been something that I've been trying to do. So
I think that like we have prayer people that we pray over, and like throughout the week we'll have prayer requests and stuff. So I feel like that's a huge part of who we are, like to see each other struggling with kind of the similar things, because it is track and it is hard. And we do have like a mental game of how we're going to run today is based off of what we want to put out there. And so I think like having that prayer partner is definitely uplifting and encouraging to know that someone's always praying over you no matter what. And then also before meets, like just to be in a circle together and be like united as one, like, okay, we are here to be a team first. And like whatever we put on the table is what we're here to bring. And there's like no like true expectation because God's always first. So it's like, you're not really there to win. You're there to love your sport and to spread God's love first. And so I think that we do a great job of like showing that by encouraging each other and by like, we are screaming at each other to do better, whatever. But it's like more of like a encouraging statement of like, we are here to love first and then win. So it's like winning isn't always the top priority. And I feel like at public schools where I grew up, like it was just always about winning. And here it's just about like loving each other first.
Going along with that, you mentioned prayer partners. What else does the team do spiritually, away from the track?
We have small group, so the guys do their own small group, and then the girls do theirs. So ours are on Wednesdays, and we just meet together and we go through a book of the Bible, and then we just connect. Sometimes we'll do testimonies, but my favorite thing that we do is definitely our prayers before we run. We always are like, okay, when are you running? We want to make sure, like, while you're warming up, we come over, we pray for you, just because there's a lot of anxiety that comes before a race, and lots of nerves. So just getting to see, like, the guys group and the girls group just come around each other, and just pray for each other, and then also invite other teams to come pray with us. That's one of my favorite things about track.
Mm-hmm. We also pray at practice each time we meet up together. So we have, like, the cross people now, too, and it's kind of cool to see how the circle builds slowly throughout the season because we finally get to be all together. But yeah.
And what's that dynamic like of having the men's team, the women's team, and then all of the cross runners too?
It's definitely a large group. So I do enjoy when we get to be in a little bit smaller groups and get to know each other a little bit better. That's the nice thing with like our event groups. Then we have like guys and girls in it, especially for hurdles. We get to see each other a lot for that. But yeah, it's hard to not get to know everyone in such a big team. So it's nice when you can actually take the time to get to know people.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to learn everyone's name because you can find someone that you don't remember their name or you don't really know what they do. And so it's fun to like be that person to like, okay, I'm cheering for you today. Like you are going to be the person I see. And so like it's fun to like see each individual girl because like even the cross girls we don't really see very often. And so it's fun to like, we do like a popcorn thing at like our small group stuff too to like learn new things about the people and like it's so cool. And so I just love that we get to like learn new things about people because like you could ask someone about their day and not even know half the things they're going through because you don't ever see them and you barely know them on the team because we're so big. So it's really unique.
Another thing that we do together, like as a whole team cross, and then boys and girls, is we'll do like a worship night the night before our home meets, and that's another way that we just get to spend time with everyone before we run.
Explain some of the main differences between indoor and outdoor track.
The events are different for indoor and outdoor. Most of them are the same, but there's, especially for distance, there's some different ones, like 1K is not outdoor, and like the 600 isn't out. It's also just a very different atmosphere because everything's a lot closer, and you can just hear people yelling, and it gets really loud, which is really fun. Also really hard to hear, but also definitely like different with the curves, like actually running and mechanics wise, but
yeah, the surfaces are different. So sometimes shin splints are higher indoor than outdoor, but we did get a new track. Yes. But we did get a new track, so it is helping. But yeah, the shin splint issues gets a lot worse indoor versus outdoor. And indoors harder to breathe too because it's like closed in and it just gets really hot really fast because there's so many bodies. And so one thing about conference was that the building was freezing, and so it was really great to be in that environment because it was like we weren't as dehydrated, I feel like, so made us run a little bit faster maybe. But the outdoor is like you never know what the weather is going to be like, and indoor you can kind of expect like it's probably going to be hot and like it's probably going to be a little musty because of all the people inside there. But yeah,
did your guys' shin splints get worse with the new track? Because I feel like at softball practice, they got worse with this new track. Like, all of our shins hurt now.
I feel like once you get shin splints, they just don't go away.
Yeah.
They come back every season. So I'd say it's the same. And it hurts. And like with the events that we do, it's bound to happen. So
do you guys like how the new one is like more rough, or like rougher, I guess?
it feels more like an outdoor track.
Okay.
It does kind of hurt a little bit when you're like down on the ground, but I don't really notice it as much. I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I think our like spikes dig into it better. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like grips it better, so we don't have to push our shins as hard as. And I think that was like kind of the point of it, but didn't really change it
for blocks. Like the blocks stay in the ground.
So after you guys finished second in conference, how are you feeling going into nationals?
I feel like with conference, like how we place, I usually don't think about like that going into nationals. I feel like nationals is just a really fun opportunity to get to see a lot more teams and just get to run against a higher level of competition. So it's encouraging, but it's also like, okay, this is what I need to focus on going into this next 2 weeks. So yeah.
I agree. I think nationals is a completely different environment. Like, you walk in and you're just like, gosh, those goals are so awesome. Like, you just look at them and you're like, oh my gosh, I love you. Like, you're so cool. But like, there are some goals that I'm just like, oh my goodness. But like, our score at conference doesn't really change like what nationals is going to look like, because half the goals that we verse in nationals aren't at our conference. And so it's going to be really cool to see them again. But like for outdoor nationals, it was so fun to like get on the line with some of these girls, because you're just like, oh my goodness, they're just so cool and so fast. And so it's just so like such a good opportunity to like be on the line with them and like just see that the joy that they have for the sport makes me want to be like, oh yeah, I want to run next to you. Like, let me be right next to you. But like, it just brings me a different type of joy to like see all these people like that actually work so hard to like earn their spot at nationals. So it's just another opportunity to spread the love and see all the new faces.
How do qualifiers work with nationals?
So there's an A and a B standard. An A standard is a certain time or distance that you hit, and you automatically get to go if you hit that distance, and then or time. And then a B standard is it's a little bit like a little bit slower of a time or a little bit less of a distance. And then for guys and for girls, it's only 3, right? Mm-hmm. Only 3 B standards are allowed to go. So say there was like one in the 60 and the 400, the 200, the 100. Our coach has to decide what 3 he wants to pick of the girls and then what 3 of the guys he wants to pick, if there are that many. And then also they made a new rule this year that the top 20, even if they haven't hit A or B, automatically get to go. It's like as a standard, because they made the standards a lot higher to reach this year, because I think it was getting a little too big last year.
What do you think has been your biggest takeaway from being on the track team the past few years? Either like life or athletically or spiritually.
I would say the people are what make a sport good or bad. So I think the track team is just such a great team, and there's such great people on it, and I think that is what just keeps us motivated to, because I mean, when you think about running, no one's like, yeah, I just love to run. Like, it just makes me, I mean, it is fun for us, but also like it hurts sometimes. And so just getting to be with those people and just getting to see how like God made each of us in such cool ways, and he gave us these cool abilities is what I like to look at, and what makes track such a fun sport for us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that it's more of a family instead of like looking at it as like such a sport event type thing, because we do have like our individual events and we do break apart a little bit, but like we always know that these people are going to be with us no matter what, because like they've seen us at our high and they've seen us at our low. And so it's like no matter what, we can look up to the people that have already been through some of this stuff and like see how they get through it and how we can kind of go off of what they did or how they did it. And so I think like the leaders on the team are huge, and like watching them get through certain things or like push past a certain level makes me want to do that so that I can be more like them. And so it's like watching the leaders, being with the girls on the team, being with the guys on the team, like getting through those workouts is like, I feel like what makes us the team, and like being a family is first.
If you had to pick one memory from your time here, which one's your favorite and why?
Oh, I got it. Okay, so it just popped up on my phone actually this morning. So we were at, I can't remember. We were at some meet and we all stayed in a hotel room. And so all of the girls came to our room and we laid out like the couch and the beds and we all laid and watched a movie together. And it was so cute. And we were all just like piled on top of each other just watching this movie. And it was just the best thing ever. And then we woke up the next morning and ran, but it was so fun.
That was really fun. That is up there on my list. Probably the most memorable. If people get grossed out easily, don't listen to this. But this was my freshman year, and we were doing a track retreat. And so we were every fall semester we do a track retreat just to get to know all the girls better. And so we were in Ohio at this girl's house. Keep in mind, I don't know everyone super well because we were just getting to know each other. But it was a super fun night, just getting to do games and stuff. There was so much food. I ate so much food. Then in the middle of the night, I was not feeling good. And so I got up to the bathroom and then I went back to bed. Could not fall asleep. It's like 3 a.m. And then we were in the basement, so it's pitch black. And I get up and I'm like, I still don't feel good. So I felt like I was going to throw up. And I could not get to the bathroom because I suddenly could not remember how to get there, and I'm just feeling around trying to find it. Throw up in my mouth, trying to get there. Then I hit a wall so hard, like, and I threw up everywhere. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not my house. This is like a brand new house, brand new carpet on the floor. And so I'm like running around their house. It's like 3 or 4 a.m, trying to find cleaning supplies, trying not to wake a single soul up because there's just girls sleeping everywhere on mattresses. And yeah, that was definitely a memorable night. But then also it just showed me how nice and sweet these people were, because the next day everyone was like so concerned and making sure I was okay. So yeah.
Did you clean it, or did they wake up before you?
No, I cleaned it. I
Really?
cleaned it all. Yeah, I found stuff. It took me a little while, but I did find stuff. I cleaned it all up. And then, I mean, it was dark, so it wasn't perfect. So then some people helped me clean it up a little bit more in the morning.
Okay.
But I had pretty much of it gone. But it was a lot.
That's crazy. Well, that's all we have. Good luck at nationals and
Thank you.
outdoor
Thank you.
season. It'll be fun. Thanks, Wildcat Nation, for tuning in to episode 6 with IWU Women's Track, Dylainey Floyd and Allie Hawk. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week, presented by Amplify Media.